is the Invocation. We are fortunate to have Father Irenaeus Dunleavy, the OP Parochial Vicar of St. Pius, if I may say, he mentioned earlier. His first name is Latin, which means man of peace. We are honored and privileged to have you here. Father, you have the mic.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good and gracious God, who orders all things sweetly by your providence, please pour forth your Spirit upon these council men and women, those present and absent, all those here who participate in your governance of this city, named after your divine attribute of providence. And we all make this prayer in the name of Jesus, as we pray in the words that he gave us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And may the peace and love of God descend upon all of you here and remain with you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father, and welcome. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. President Pro Tem, Pedro
I
Espinal.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, we also honored, we have Shaquan Davis. I was fortunate to go to Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris's tree lighting recently. And Mr. Davis was there singing in a joyous way that I thought it was a freezing night, but yet he was bringing warmth to our hearts and our lives. So I thought it was appropriate that he was willingness to come before us and sing the national anthem. Mr. Davis, you have the mic, sir.
Thank you.
Please stand, everybody.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the hope of the brave.
Here, here. Ladies and gentlemen, Shaquan Davis. Thank you. Wow. Wow. Fantastic. Thank you.
Don't let him go.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Council President John J. Igliozzi's address.
Well, it's tough to top that. That was so impressive. It also shows how enriched and how wonderful our community is that we live in the city of Providence. We have such people of such talent and ability that live here and work here among this great city. It's just beautiful. I want to say welcome back, folks. Happy New Year, right? It's 2022. Welcome back to council members, your family, your friends, our constituents. It's been difficult, right? 2021 has been a difficult year for all of us. Half the year COVID lockdown. Half the year we're dealing with Zoom meetings, right? Now we come back a little bit live. This is our first live meeting of this year. You know, and it's gonna be difficult this coming year. We're still dealing with COVID, we're still dealing with these issues. But also it's difficult today, as you all know, unfortunately. Listen to Mr. Davis give us the national anthem. Gives me chills, but also gives me great pride and also caution. Because today also was a day in which wasn't a great day for our country a year ago. You know, our nation's capital, which we all should be proud of, whether we're a Republican, a Democrat, independent, or whatever you are, we should all be proud of our nation's capital. It's a great country we live in. And it was, you know, the sense of our country, our sense of who we are was attacked. Right? It's not something we should be proud of, but it's not something we should run away from. As a nation, we need to be strong. We need to come together. We need to listen to each other. We need to support and create empathy with each other. And that attack on our democracy was concerning. But we survived. It was a threat. We continue to face the challenges. We continue, hopefully, to strengthen our form of democracy at both national, state, and local level. You know, for democracy to grow, flourish, remain resilient, we must promote open and reasonable dialogue. And we have to act with empathy to each other, to try to understand each other, but not through violence. Our nation's strength is our ability to listen to our brothers and sisters. Our nation's strength is to use our empathy towards our brothers and sisters. We cannot forget that. Tonight, as you know, is the last year of this term. And I've said at the beginning of my journey here, and I'm going to say it towards this end, I've always believed, and I continue to believe, the number one priority for the city council has been and always will be, is making sure city government functions and works for the people of Providence. That it functions for them, that it works for them. That's a priority job the council has. Making this administration or any administration do their job for all of us. What we do this year in Providence and in Rhode Island will impact us. How we represent our democracy will impact our republic. It's important that we continue to work and serve the people of this great capital. As I mentioned earlier, COVID has not been a good thing for anybody. Sadly, Providence continues to endure a devastating impact of COVID-19. Began almost 2 years ago. If I may say, unfortunately and sadly, we've lost approximately 600 of our brothers and sisters in the city of Providence alone. They were loved ones, they were family, they were friends. And I know some of my colleagues, it has been extremely difficult during this time, and our constituents. I'd ask my council colleagues if we all could just rise for a moment, do a moment of silence for the people we lost, and the people who are struggling right now in the hospital for COVID. If we could just stand for a moment, do a moment of silence, if I could. And give a prayer to them and their loved ones. Thank you. In addition to the devastating loss of life COVID-19 has impacted on our families, our friends, our neighbors, it also has done in many other ways. Individuals have lost their jobs due to layoffs and illness. Businesses in our city of Providence have struggled and continue to struggle during these times. We're not out of the woods yet, folks. Some have closed, some are trying to keep it together. We look at our restaurants, one of the most vibrant aspects of the city of Providence. Our restaurants it's been a toll on them. Our hotels, our small locally owned businesses, they've been the hardest hit. And more so in Providence than anywhere else in the state. We rely on that. Tourism is important to the city. Restaurant business is important. The housing crisis, by the way, in Providence became even more dire. For those who without shelter during COVID-19, it further exposed a serious issue that we all face in this great city. Violence and other threats to public health and safety increased in our city. Isolation of our elderly, not having that chance to see their loved ones, their friends, that has had a damning impact on our people and the people we represent. And let's not forget, you spoke about earlier, the loss of learning of our children in this great city. 24,000 students. These past 2 years have been extremely difficult for them. And they lost a lot. And it's our job to figure out how to get it back for them. And then we're not done yet. Although there are many challenges, we still have to look ahead to the future. That's going to be our job this year right now. For some of you who will be returning and some of you who won't, myself, we still have a lot of work to do. But at this moment in time, we do have a rare opportunity to make lasting improvements in the lives of our constituents, our friends, our families, our residents, of the people of Providence as a whole. We do have the resources, we have the tools, and we do have a plan to try to rebuild, restabilize, and restore this great city. As you know, in fact, my council colleagues, we started that work already. We did. Last July, the city council passed the budget, and in that budget, we allocated a portion of that American Rescue Plan Act fund to address immediate needs facing the city. And some of them were housing right off the bat. We did. We stood up, said we need to be counted, and we're going to help out. Chairwoman, her committee, the full council, we understood that issue was important. And we did. We allocated ARPA funds for the homelessness intervention. We also helped allocate money to Crossroads to be able to get more support for individuals and families into permanent housing to help them out. You know, the next ARPA budget we pass in the coming months will also prioritize housing and homeless intervention. This money is to help the folks that need it the most. You know, another area, unfortunately, was our public safety. Unfortunately, in 2021, although through the valiant efforts of our chief of police and our commander and the force that we have, and the great men and women who wear the blue, and I'm proud to say that, we still had a disturbing trend, of violence in our neighborhoods. Just the nature of the beast. COVID has been wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods. We've had gun violence, assaults, dangerous ATVs taking control and ownership of our neighborhoods and our streets, making our neighbors feel uncomfortable in their homes. You know, the chief of police came before this council last year, and one of the things he talked about, and I know, near and dear to his heart, is community policing. And he talked about how we needed more police officers. Wanted to bring back community policing. And the council heard that call. And we helped allocate money to help with that effort. As you know, the council has appropriated funding for both academies. We just had a graduating academy, one of the most diverse academies in the history of the city. And we allocated, there's an academy school going on right now where they're putting together a new group. I also want to say the upcoming budget, I feel confident that this city council will allocate money again for another academy to make our city safe and secure. But we also understood there was a mental health component, right? We understood that policing isn't just about those traditional aspects. It's also, there's a mental health component. They're getting these types of calls. So we also supported that effort this past budget. Public safety mental health initiatives, we allocated money for that because we understand that's part of the process. That's pieces to the puzzle to make a better neighborhood, make a better city, make a better community. Creating that empathy, by the way, between our police department and our constituents and our constituents and our police department. Empathy is extremely important. Sometimes it's getting lost in the society lately, but I think it's important for us, all of us, to make it a forefront as an initiative for this upcoming year. We are excited about the future academies. As you know, the police chief Clements and his commander there have been working hard. They go out there and they put together a very diverse group, a group that represents our city, but also, by the way, a highly educated group. And I want to say something. I was extremely impressed when I was honored to go before the graduation and listening to the young men and women who were becoming police officers and listening to their background from all different parts, all different walks of life, all different color skins, all different sex and sexualities. But they were educated, they were trained, they were ready and willing to put their lives on the line for all of us to be here today. And it was very impressive. And I have to give the chief and the commander, I'm going to give you, why don't you stand up and give them a round of applause and a thank you. Chief, and I think it's fair to say, at least on behalf of myself and the council, we're here to help you, support you, and help you get the job done to make this a great city, to continue to make this a great city, because we know we're in good hands with you and your staff. Thank you. Another issue that COVID exposed to our great city was the lack of broadband, internet. Sounds silly, right? Internet, broadband, doesn't everybody have it? No, they don't. You know, there's a big problem with, there's an immense digital divide between the have and have-nots in our city. Too many households in Providence lack consistent, reliable internet access. By the way, it's just not for surfing the web. Internet gives you education. Internet gives you contact. Internet gives you relationships. There's a lot of good positivity to that. And as you know, learning that we have a lack of internet connectivity. One of the things the council did do in this past initiative is the council has bringing free public Wi-Fi to our public parks and recreational centers. We're doing that right now. And we'll be doing it, you'll be hearing our pilot program, as you know, we've been talking about it because we allocated the funds. We'll be going live in the next couple of months in our parks. So our kids, our family and friends, and our rec centers can be in there and have free Wi-Fi. And the goal, by the way, is not just to bring the Wi-Fi to Blackstone and Wanskuck and Joseph Williams Park, but to bring it hopefully to the whole city, to provide it for all. These investments are just a few examples of the way this city council is working with stakeholders on COVID recovery efforts to successfully address immediate needs and restore a strong foundation for the city and its residents in the long term. Speaking of foundations, let's not forget this. It's not the most glamorous, but some of the things we're going to be looking at is city infrastructure, safe and clean parks, streets, sidewalks. That is important to having a livable city for all. Efficient and well-functioning sewer systems. It's not glamorous, but it's important. Upgrading our stormwater management and green infrastructure. Why are these important? Because today's investment in these types of infrastructure takes off the financial burden of our future constituents and our future colleagues. That's why we need to be wise and judicious in how we spend this ARPA money. As you all know, one of the main obligations of City Council is checks and balances. We're the co-equal branch of government. And one of the things we're going to do with this opera money, and the chairwoman is going to help spearhead that with her committee, is we're going to make sure there's oversight of the spending of this money. I'm going to make sure there's an independent external audit company hired to oversee and make sure every penny of this opera money is spent correctly, wisely, and honestly. So this way, everybody knows in a biweekly report that whoever receives the money, why they received the money, how they used the money, and making sure they used it like they said they would. Our goal is to make sure these dollars, these precious dollars, are spent wisely and financially responsibly, and it's accountable. And that's what's missing where we're going to add to this opera budget. The council has a fiduciary duty. Sometimes people don't realize what it is. Some people think, oh, it's just the council. But our job is to make sure everything is spent wisely and appropriately. Up in 2022, we also have serious legislative initiatives, by the way, which are dictated by the city charter. My city charter. Mr. Solicitor, do you have your charter? The city's constitution. Look, I got the city solicitors, well-worn, dog ears and everything. Thank you. The upcoming legislative responsibilities we have is the ward boundaries redrawn, right, per the city charter. It's going to impact the next 10 years of city governing. And the Ward Boundaries Committee is going to put together the new ward boundary. As you know, the city's population has grown. We're 191,000 strong now. Let's hear it. Right? But it's important that those 191,000 are represented fairly, honestly, and equitably. So we have to make sure those new ward boundaries are drawn correctly. By the way, it'll be applied to November 2022 election. Those ward boundaries apply now, this election. Not next year, not the next term. So we'll have an impact. So a lot of these wards are going to grow. I mentioned earlier about the charter, another very important initiative for the next 10 years, what's going to have an impact on the city. Is the Charter Review Commission. Our Constitution, which gives us the authority to govern, gives us the guidelines to protect our republic, and also empowers us as elected officials on how the people expect us to run this city. Charter Review Commission is going to be looking at this, stem to stern. They're going to look at different initiatives, different changes, things from more accountability in the charter to even more expansive representation. As you know, since our population has grown, more representation is better than less. So we're probably even looking at council at large positions. People of Providence have a right to make sure that their constitution, their charter, governs them and us the way they want. So I look forward to those conversations, and we're going to be very expansive. We're going to do neighborhood charrettes. We're going to go out to the neighborhoods. We're going to go out to the business community. We're going to try to get as much information, much interaction with everybody as possible, to see what they think on how they want the charter to be addressed. But remember one thing, folks. The charter is also an important document. This is not a political playbook. This is something that we have to protect because this is our democracy, our republic, and we have to make it stronger, not politically weaker. We have to make it resilient, not politically pliable. So those are major initiatives this year alone, which is going to impact all of you this year and upcoming years. Another legislative initiative which is before us is the revaluation of our property. As you all know, we see a lot of folks selling their houses, property values are going through the roof. That's great. We love it. Good stuff. But for some of our constituents, they're getting priced potentially right out of their homes. So we have to be very cautious We have to create the balance, strike the balance of valuations going up and making sure taxes don't debilitate our constituency. So as we move forward with the upcoming budget, it's important that we hold the line on taxes. And I feel confident that all of us will do that this budget. Now more than ever, this council, this body, we need to provide stability in our neighborhoods, in our city, as much as we can. What we do in this upcoming 12 months is going to have a long-lasting impact beyond me and beyond all of you. I urge you to jump in the scrum, get your folks involved, get your constituents involved, but let us be judicious, let us be cautious, and let's be ever vigilant to protect our republic and make it a better place for all of us to live. I was lucky about 25 years ago to get elected as a city councilman from 7th Ward. And I've been very fortunate to have the support of my constituents and my loved ones to support me throughout those years. And I've been humbled on this floor, humbled in my neighborhood and streets, and honored the fact that I'm able to actually serve here and serve in this great body. And we should all be proud of that. We're not a punchline. We're not a joke. We're an important facet of city government that has great responsibility. I'm also very proud as the end that I'm able to serve as your president of this great city council. I've been very fortunate. My first council president was Evelyn Fognoli. And I think about her a lot up here. And I used to sit right there where Councilman Vargas was. And I miss her. And I miss a lot of my council colleagues over the years who aren't here with us today, who have passed away, who aren't here, who I don't see anymore, who decide to put their name on a ballot, like all of you, put their time, energy, and effort, and their families' time on the line to put towards your constituency to represent your neighborhood. It takes an awful lot. And you don't hear it much, but I want all of you to hear it from me. On behalf of me, I want to thank you for running, for being elected, and for participating in this great democracy. And don't let anybody waver, anybody change your mind that what you did wasn't important, that what you did is just some political nonsense, because it's not. It's all of us to be beacons of democracy and hope, so people feel confident that this government's going to work for them. Finally, I just want to say I look forward to the upcoming year. I want to thank all of you again for giving me this opportunity. And thank you for your continuing commitment to the city of Providence. God bless. Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item number 3, please.
Item number 3,
Mr. President?
resolution.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Motion to read into the record item number 3 and approve on a voice vote.
Second, Mr. President.
Madam Clerk, please read the item.
Whereas the Providence City Council seal traces its origins back to the desk of the town clerk in the 18th century and was formally adopted by the Board of Aldermen in April of 1843. And whereas the seal was redesigned and adopted by the City Council after the Board of Aldermen was abolished in 1941. However, much of the imagery and symbolism remained unchanged. And whereas Section 2-340 of the Providence Code of Ordinances describes the meaning of the seal as follows. The bee, as a symbol of industry, is derived from the early colonial saying, busy as a bee. The goose, as a symbol of watchfulness, is derived from the story of the goose whose cackling saved Rome. And the lamb, as a symbol of peace, is derived from the biblical use of the lamb as a symbol of peace. And whereas the purpose and meaning of the council seal serves as an important reminder for all on the significant role the city council plays in the safe and effective operation of our municipal government. And whereas Dan Mitrovic, a recent graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design, dedicated numerous hours in diligently recreating the council seal as described in the Code of Ordinances, and was able to produce the incredible hand-painted seal that will hang in the council chamber for years to come. Now therefore be it resolved that the Providence City Council hereby recognizes Dan Mitrovic for his outstanding artistry in creating the hand-painted Providence City Council seal for the council chamber.
Ladies and gentlemen, our artist, Dan Mitrovic. Have a stand. We're going to take a moment and we're going to reveal the seal. It was handmade, gold leaf. Maybe I don't want to say it too loud, but it's beautiful. So why don't you come forward? Why don't you just hold it in? 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Rhode Island educated. Look at that. Thank you. Great job. Next item, Madam Clerk, item number 4, please. Oh, excuse me. Gonna pass it. Oh, motion to approve item number.
We had a motion, but you just.
Oh, it's not a voice vote?
All in favor? All in favor?
Oh, okay. All in favor? Aye, all opposed. There you go. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item
She
number
keeps us-
4,
She keeps on track. Good.
election of one member to the Providence External Review Authority, para.
President Pro Tem Pedro Espinal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to nominate Mr. Darrell Williams to the Providence External Review Authority, who has been a lifelong resident of our city of Providence and has an impressive resume. Councilwoman Harris and I feel that he'll be a great fit for the para board, and we're honored to nominate him.
Second, Mr. President.
I have a second from Deputy Majority Leader Mary Kay Harris. Is there any other counter nominations? Are there any other counter nominations? Are there any other counter nominations? With that, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Do you want, Mr. President Pro Tem, would you like to have the
Yes,
individual stand up?
Mr. Williams, please stand up and be acknowledged. Thank you for coming over. Thank you for taking on this responsibility. He's along here with his wife and child.
Do you want to have him
Thank
come
you,
up?
sir.
Why don't you come on up and have some photographs? Come on, bring your family up. Why don't you have him bring his family up? Sir, why don't you bring your family up? You can bring your family up. Come on. Thank you. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes, item number 5, Journal of Proceedings number 31 of the regular meeting of the City Council held December 2nd, 2021.
Majority Leader.
Move to approval.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next item, please.
Appointments by His Honor the Mayor.
Mr.
item-
President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the readings of items 6 through 18.
Second.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Do we have discussion? All in favor of the waive? Aye. Madam Clerk, receive.
Item number 19.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the readings of items 19 through 29.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, refer those items to the City Council Committee of Finance.
Ordinances, second reading. The following ordinance was in City Council December 2nd, 2021, read and passed the first time, and is returned for passage the second time.
Majority Leader
Mr.
Taylor.
President, motion to pass for the second time on a roll call vote.
Second.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion.
President.
Council President Pro Tem Espinal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, I just want to express my gratitude to this body. In the last year and a half, we faced some serious issues down near the port and the community that I represent. But we have been able to put some great legislation together. Last year, we passed an ordinance banning transfer station as well as incinerator. And this time was slated to pass again. Extremely important ordinance and enacting that into law, which will ban the expansion of LPG. This is critical. This is important to my community. So on behalf of my community, I want to thank the body and thank yourself. And thank you so much. Sir.
Well said. Any other comments, questions? Councilman Goncalves.
Sure, Mr. President, I just want to thank the sponsor for all of his due diligence and work on this important piece of legislation that's going to have a critical role on addressing the environment along the Port of Providence. This has been an important priority of this council, so I'm so thrilled that we're going to pass it tonight, and I just want to thank the sponsor for his leadership on this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments, questions by council members? All right, then Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Council President Igliozzi.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony is absent. Majority Whip Castillo. Councilman Correa is absent. Council President Pro Tempore Espinal.
Aye.
Councilman Gonsalves.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Aye.
Councilor Kerwin is absent. Councilwoman LaFortune is absent. Councilor Miller is absent. Senior Deputy Majority Leader Narducci. Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye.
Councilor Salvatore is absent. Majority Leader Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Vargas. You have 9 ayes and 6 absent. The motion carries. The matter is passed for the second time on a roll call vote.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 31.
Mr.
Presentation.
President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 31.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Refer to the Committee on Ordinances, please.
Presentation of resolutions, item 32.
Mr.
Council-
President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to withdraw number 32.
Second.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion. All in favor of withdrawn? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
Item 33.
Majority Leader
Mr.
Taylor.
President, motion to waive the readings of 33 through 35.
Second.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris makes the second. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, refer those items to the Committee of Finance.
Item 36.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 36.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Refer to the Committee of Finance.
Item 37.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the readings of 37 and 38 and pass on a voice vote.
Second.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris seconds it. Discussion?
Mr. President.
President Pro Tem Espinal, you have the mic, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to speak on item number 38. Narragansett Boulevard, it's about a 2 to 3 mile long stretch. It goes from Providence right into Cranston. From Cranston into Providence, actually the speed limit It's 25. As soon as it enters Providence, it becomes 30, and then as it becomes Allen's Avenue, it goes up to 35. Now, there's been a numbers of accident there and some death resulting. So what this legislation does is just it's asked the DOT to reduce the speed to be even with that of Cranston, which would be 25 miles per hour. It's a good piece of legislation, so I urge my colleague and I beg them for their support. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on those
Mr.
items?
President,
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
would like to co-sponsor
Co-sponsor Deputy Majority Leader Harris on 37 and 38. Any of the council colleagues at the co-sponsor? Councilwoman Chairwoman Ryan. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that I vote yes on 37 and recuse on 38.
So noted.
They pass. Item number 39.
Item 39.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to read into the record item 39 and pass on a voice vote.
second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Do we have co-sponsors item number 39? The whole council. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect the entire council co-sponsors item number 39.
So noted.
With that discussion, read into record.
Whereas Lieutenant James Barros was appointed to the Providence Police Department as a patrol officer in November of 2003. And whereas Lieutenant Barros is the recipient of numerous awards and commendations, including the Combat Ribbon in 2004, the City Council Award in 2014 and 2017, and a Merit Award for his role in the Police Department's Training Academy, receiving POST certification status for its curriculum. And whereas Lieutenant Barros previously served in the Detective Bureau, Investigative Division, and has been a member of the Rhode Island Weapons of Mass Destruction Team and the Special Response Team since 2007. And whereas in December of 2010, Officer Barros was promoted to the rank of sergeant and was transferred to the Patrol Bureau Uniformed Division. And whereas on February 26, 2012, he was transferred to the Training Bureau Administrative Division, where he was designated as the Deputy Director of Training for the 67th and 68th Training Academies. And whereas Lieutenant Barros is known to have a close relationship with the residents of Ward 11, where he is greatly appreciated for his dedication to the community. And whereas, in recognition of his hard work and dedication to the Providence Police Department and the residents of the city of Providence, Lieutenant James Barrow is being promoted to the rank of captain. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Providence City Council hereby extends its warmest congratulations to Lieutenant James Barrows on his upcoming promotion to the rank of captain in the Providence Police Department. Be it further resolved that the Providence City Council would also like to express its deepest gratitude to Lieutenant Barrows for his continued dedication and service to the Providence community. Be it further resolved that upon passage, copies of this resolution be transmitted to the Honorable Mayor of Providence, the Commissioner of Public Safety, the Providence Police Department, and Lieutenant James Barrows.
Captain Barros, I mean, was presumptuous, want to come on up with your family? For a moment. Mr. Sergeant, could you escort them up? First, ready? Ready for this? Ready. We're going to say, all in favor? Good. Then you hit the gavel. All in favor? Aye. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Barrows.
Yes. Is it okay if I have a moment of expression?
Oh, no, you can, of course.
Can I, and then we,
Of
and can
course.
we, can I ask that the entire council take a picture with our?
Deputy Majority Leader Harris has a request, and if she
Yes.
does, we need to comply. Everybody come on
Yes.
up.
Yeah, let's take the picture.
Want to hold the gavel?
Of course. I'm still gonna make my speech. Well, that's a great picture of power. Mhm. Yeah. You can do it right, Council. Mr. President, you're very welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Yes, I would like to
Deputy
take a
Majority
moment.
Leader Harris.
Yes, I'd like to take a moment and just express the reason and the purpose of why the council felt it was so important that we give this citation. Again, the relationships, the close relationships of the residents of Ward 11 and Lieutenant Barrows have been extraordinary. The things that we have been able to do in that community since I have been a part of the leadership there have been amazing. How we work together. There's different parts of the community that have different interests and different things that people have different needs for, whether it's illegal dumping, whether it is crime, whether it is disturbance, trespassing, whatever. Members of the community like to feel safe and they like to feel that they can call on someone that would respond. And the reason I felt like this is important, and it's not like we don't have many, many great police in our department. I want to just bring this particular one out because of the relationship and the work that we have been able to do. And Commander Burritt and the chief will also vouch for this, that we've been doing some amazing work in the South Providence, Upper South Providence and South Providence areas in Washington Park. Many of our neighbors have developed different interests and they all have different reasons to come together. I'm gonna use an example. The elders in Lockwood Housing Project at one time was affected by a lot of violence that were perpetrating in the neighborhood. We came together, the police officers, Lieutenant Barrows being one of the leaders as well, and we worked with those neighbors and we brought them together to be able not only to claim their own safe space, but to be able to advocate for themselves and to be able to feel free to call the police and to feel there is a relationship. Lieutenant Barrows served that role. We also have our park that former Balbina Young made so beautiful in our neighborhood, the Jacqueline Clement Park. Many of our neighbors of Dudley Street residents somewhat were feeling unsafe in the park. Again, Lieutenant Barrows helped play a role in that by us coming together, working with the neighbors and figuring out how we use that space, neutral space. And we are still talking about that today and bringing each other, coming together to work out a solution. We also have the Elwood Crime Watch. We have Southside Neighborhood Association, which we have our leader here, Dwayne Keys. We have the Trinity Square Group. We have Parkes Avenue. And these are different people who come together with different problems that feel like they can relate and rely on someone. And I can say, no matter what it is, we call Lieutenant Barrows, he picks the phone up. Unfortunately, I called him one day, he was on vacation, he picked the phone up. I didn't think that was necessary, but he did. And that go to show you how dedicated he is to the community. So we do know that community policing can work. Relationships with neighbors can be developed if it's a person who has the interest to do that. So tonight I want to say thank you. Congratulations for your promotion. And we have talked about that. Our neighbors have talked about it. You will truly be missed. Your physical presence. You said you're not going anywhere. I don't think we're going to let you go anywhere because we have your cell number. So thank you again for your service. And thank you, Chief, for all your great leaders. Thank you.
President Pro Tem Espinal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I think that Councilwoman Harris, Leader Harris, has said it all, and she said it well. So I can only rise and attest to the validity of that, and also to congratulate Lieutenant Barrows, soon to be captain. There's something she said about answering a call. So there are telling signs. You know, we can say a lot of things, but there are certain things that you do that actually indicates how truthful you are and what kind of person you are. And yes, I have also called Lieutenant Barrow, and he happened to be not just on vacation, but outside of the country, and still answer the call. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you for always being there today. Stan, and I congratulate you and your family and your achievement. You have done great work for Ward 10, Ward 11, and for our great city of Providence. Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item 40,
Mr.
Councilwoman.
President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to read into the record item 40 and pass on a voice vote.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. All council will co-sponsor this item. Great. Madam Clerk, make that note for the record.
So noted.
Madam, first, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Madam Clerk, please read item number 40 into the record.
Whereas the people of Haiti celebrate the 218th anniversary of Haiti's independence from France, the significance of which transcends the territorial boundaries of the Latin American nation. And whereas on January 1st, 1804, Haiti became the first country in the Western Hemisphere to declare sovereignty from a European power, but also was the first among its neighbors to abolish slavery. And whereas Haiti holds the unique distinction of being the only country where a revolt led by enslaved people successfully culminated in independence and in the establishment of the first Black Republic in history. And whereas the Haitian Revolution radically challenged the foundations of societies in the Western Hemisphere and abroad, as it represented some of the most important democratic ideals such as sovereignty, freedom, and the legal equality of all persons, when all of Latin America and the Caribbean remained under European colonial rule, which was designed to build the European economies and societies off the labor of enslaved Africans. And whereas the Haitian Revolution's defeat of the colonial armies of France, Britain, and Spain inspired revolutionaries and slave communities all over the Americas, and the precedent set by the Haitian people signaled that freedom and equality were not impossible. And whereas Haitian Americans have made significant contributions and influenced the history, culture, and achievements of the country as a whole, the state of Rhode Island, and to the city of Providence. And it is important for all of us to gain a greater appreciation for Haitian history and traditions and their impact on our society. Now therefore be it resolved that the Providence City Council hereby acknowledges January 1st as Haitian Independence Day in perpetuity and further joins Haitians in the United States and abroad in commemorating the remarkable event in the history of the American nation, its people, and the Americas and the world.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 41.
Item 41.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to read into the record item number 41 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Madam Clerk, read item number 41, please.
Whereas Zicam Camp
Oh, one
Savorabang.
second. The whole council co-sponsors item number 41. Make a note, Madam Clerk.
So noted. Whereas Zicam Camp Savorabang was appointed to the Providence Water Supply Board in September of 2013, where he was then elected as chairman by the board. And whereas in his 8 years of dedicated service, Chairman Camp Savorabang has championed impactful initiatives such as e-billing, auto pay, and the acquisitions of the East Smithfield Water District and the Johnston Water District. And whereas Chairman Camp Savorabang has led significant green initiatives, including the construction and relocation of the Central Operations Facility, including a rooftop solar array, the expansion of the vehicle electrification program, and the Pine Hill Solar Project. And whereas Chairman Camp Savorabang has successfully worked to address lead issues in the city of Providence by advocating for a private side lead service replacement loan program, a system-wide orthophosphate chemical feed system, funding for lead-free watering stations for schools, a $6.4 million Environmental Protection Agency grant for lead service line replacements, as well as a $400,000 water infrastructure improvements for the nation WININ grant from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. And whereas Chairman Camp Savorabang's time with the Water Supply Board expires at the end of December 2021, and his tenure with the board will be remembered for the many meaningful and lasting improvements that have been made for the people of Providence and the state of Rhode Island. Now therefore be it resolved that Providence City Councilwoman Joanne Ryan, Ward 5, and Providence City Council hereby extend their deepest gratitude to Chairman Zicam Camp Savorabang for his visionary leadership and dedicated stewardship of the Providence Water Supply Board during his tenure, and wish him every success in his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that upon passage, copies of this resolution be transmitted to the Mayor of Providence, the Providence Water Supply Board, and Chairman Camp Savorabang.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item, item number 42.
Item number 42.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the readings of items number 42 and 43 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that the full council will co-sponsor 42 and 43.
So noted.
Chairwoman, Councilwoman Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to add my voice to the resolution, item 42, that's before us this evening. The resolution calls on the Providence Housing Authority to act with urgency and maximize its allocation of project-based vouchers to promote the development of affordable housing in our capital city. The 2001 federal housing law allows public housing agencies like the PHA to convert up to 20% of their housing choice voucher portfolios to project-based vouchers. By way of background, housing choice vouchers travel with the family. They commonly in one-off privately owned units in Rhode Island. Project-based vouchers stay rooted in Providence, and when coupled with other housing assistance resources like low-income housing tax credits, they provide critical gap financing to stimulate the development of homes. In short, the PHA is underutilizing this critical tool, which creates affordable housing for disabled, elderly, and low-income households. The PHA has only issued 100 project-based vouchers. That's less than 4% of its portfolio, and it's far too low. The PHA has a long way to go to stimulate construction and service the needs of our residents looking for a place to call home. The 100 PBVs I just mentioned, 50 were issued in 2018. 50 more were issued in 2021. The regulation has been around for 20 years. The PBV is the gold standard, a power pill, if you will, in housing production tools. 20 years ago, Boston and other municipalities embraced the hard-won revisions in the HUD PBV guidelines designed to help housing administrators kickstart the development of more housing. We have a housing crisis here. We all know it. It didn't happen overnight, and it's going to take time for us to turn it around. But we have to stop talking and start taking strategic and meaningful action. Let's not let affordable housing be reduced to a funding checkmark. I'm proud to serve as the chair of the Providence City Council Housing Task Force. I serve with my colleagues, Harris and Espinal. We will continue to look at all aspects of the housing crisis and lend our voice to push for strategic housing plans that deliver meaning and measurable change. The simple truth, we can do better. We need to build more homes and maximize all the tools that we have in our tool belt. We cannot use the same hammer that we've used for the past 20 years and expect a different result. We have to reimagine our tools, maybe even use different nails, but we need to get to work. Let's build a Providence that creates safe, healthy homes for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Chairwoman Ryan.
Mr. President,
Senior
if I
Deputy
may.
Majority Leader Narducci.
Thank you. As Councilwoman Harris is well aware of, and I want to thank Councilwoman Ryan and Councilwoman Harris, back a couple of months ago, we sat with the leadership of the Providence Housing Authority and also the leadership of the Veterans Home. We had a shovel-ready project that the developer wasn't asking for a dime from the city at all. All he was asking was for 25 of these vouchers to be allocated and put into this project. 25 out of 162 units for homeless veterans. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. People want to talk, want to talk, want to talk. I said it at the last meeting. The state and the city has so many abandoned buildings. This ARPA money that they want to create to homeless and the housing crisis that we have should not be given to any of these organizations from in the past. Because obviously, all the money we've shelled out in the past, we're still in the same predicament. Go behind the high rise on Charles Street. There's 4 separate communities. 4 separate communities. Go DuPont Drive, where the railroad tracks are. There's 6 families living on the side of the railroad tracks. Nobody in this country, in this state, should have to live like that. But as long as we just keep giving the money to the same people, you know what? $132 million, whatever portion is we're looking to do for the housing and the homeless, let's get a project like this developer wants on Charles Street that's shovel-ready and allocate whatever he needs to have a shovel-ready project. Let's look throughout the city of Providence and see how many abandoned schools we have, how many abandoned buildings we have, how many houses that are on the PRA list that are ours. We own them. No, but let's sell them to developers. Let developers build them, let developers make the money on it, and let the developers resell these properties. They're not selling them to the homeless. They're not making sure homeless people get in there. They're not creating vouchers for the people to live there that we need to live there. I get so aggravated, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm so glad the ARPA budget is going before the Finance Committee. Because there's things that I'm tired of looking at for the last 16 years. 16 years. How many mayors? How many governors? How many council presidents? How many council members? And we're worse off now than we've been. It's about time, how's the old saying over there? We put up and shut up. And we have the opportunity with this ARP money to do what we need to do for these people. A lot of these homeless people, you know, there's a portion that's homeless because they choose that. There's people like a mother with her 3 kids that we found living down the baseball field in her car that didn't have a choice. Because affordable housing right now is $1,500 a month. That's considered affordable housing. To who? To a family that maybe works 2 or 3 jobs that can afford that kind of a rent? Not to a woman like this that gets welfare and you know, help from the state and help from the city as far as, you know, medical and stuff like that. She can't afford $1,500 a month. She can't even afford $15 to put gas in her car to keep the kids warm at night. It's ridiculous. And anybody in this room, I'm just going to say it, get off the high horse. Come down to reality. Let's take a ride throughout our city and visually see. I said it before, nobody took me up on it. I said it before. I will take any one of yous, okay? And I know you guys are aware of it because the lieutenant's been trying to help. I'll take anybody for a walk down behind the high rise on Charles Street. And you tell me that you would want a brother, your sister, a family member, a friend, living like that. There was a guy that cried out for help. The help was never given to him. You know what he did? The 2 people that were living in the same tent as him, one morning they come back from Walmart, and the guy's hanging from the tree behind the high rise. This is what we're facing. So moving forward, we need to do now. We need to put, again, you've got a developer in my area. He owns the property. He's not asking the city for any type of tax break. All he's asking for is 25 out of 162 units to be locked in. Providence Housing said no. The veterans said no. But they both care about housing, homelessness. They really care. They care that much they couldn't help this developer. He's already got Kodak involved, so the veterans don't have to go anywhere for certain care. They're right there. I guess I took up enough time, but I just get so frustrated every time we're talking about this. And I'm glad to see we have people on board that realize that we need to do this now. If it was my call, I'd say forget arts, culture, and tourism. Forget all the other ones the mayor wants to give to. We got 123 million. Let's develop housing for the homeless. You know what kind of a project you can develop with $123 million? Thank you, President.
Thank you, Senior Deputy Majority Leader Narducci, for your impassioned speech. Any other comments or questions by committee?
Mr. President, may I ask that the...
Councilwoman Ryan?
Yes, may I ask that the resolution be read into the record, please? And
Yes,
I'm sorry.
before we do that, I think Deputy Majority Leader Harris, did you want to speak again? Okay, Matt. Okay.
I'm so loud. It takes all of us to be able to bring about change. And for me, I think we are united around this housing legislation stuff that we are looking at and embarking on. I really appreciate the Housing Crisis Task Force. I think it's doing an amazing job of really digging deep into these things. I thank you for these 2 resolutions that have so far. The first one have been very beneficial. And as Councilman Narducci said, this is a very important one too. We have these tools, we have these things in our toolbox. We cannot keep on doing the same old thing and thinking we're going to get the same old results. I think for me, it has been a great opportunity to work with my colleagues here and look at different creative ways that we are able to push for, like Councilwoman Ryan, I want to make it very clear, low income along with the other housing. We know that we need all types of housing, but specifically people are being displaced. Councilman Narducci mentioned that if you go in that area that he's speaking of, you will see people really in displacement. And so I appreciate this resolution. I want to support this resolution. We all have to stand behind it. It's a great resolution. I think this is a good opportunity for us to work collectively with Providence Housing Authority to really make sure that we're using every tool in that toolbox, the nail and the hammer and everything else. So I appreciate this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Any other further comments or questions? Madam Clerk, could you please read item number 42 into the record?
Whereas the Providence Housing Authority is responsible for providing and developing affordable housing to ensure that our residents have decent and affordable places to live. And whereas Chapter 45-25 of the Rhode Island General Laws provides city housing authorities, including the PHA since 1935, with broad and sweeping powers necessary and convenient to address, investigate, plan, create, and administer public and private funds by all means to improve and expand the city's available affordable housing stock within its boundaries for the benefit of its residents. And whereas, according to the 2017 American Community Survey conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau, 46.81% of the Providence population are housing cost burdened. And whereas, over the years, there has been a significant increase in demand for the production of affordable housing units within the city. And whereas, the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, since the 2001 amendments to federal housing law, allows public housing agencies to convert up to 20% of their housing choice voucher portfolio to project-based vouchers. And whereas the PBV program is a critical tool to creating affordable housing by providing deep subsidies to disabled, elderly, and low-income households, and uniquely complementing the low-income housing tax credit and other scarce affordable housing programs. And whereas the PHA's mission statement, as contained in its most recent strategic plan, states, PHA provides and develops quality and safe affordable housing opportunities and services to address the needs of Rhode Island residents. And whereas the PHA, with its existing unbridled statutory authority and pursuant to its own promulgated mission statement, needs to act with urgency to address the affordable housing crisis facing our city, and should convert its HUD HCV program vouchers to the maximum allowable number of project-based vouchers, so as to capitalize on this underutilized resource for the benefit of the people of Providence. Now therefore be it resolved that the Providence City Council hereby calls on the Providence Housing Authority to convert its HCV portfolio to the maximum allowable number of project-based vouchers as permitted by federal housing law. Be it further resolved that the Providence City Council further calls on the PHA to amend its annual mandatory and ancillary filings, namely its annual plan, administrative plan, and otherwise, to reflect its commitment to acting with urgency to convert its HCV portfolio to the maximum allowable number of project-based vouchers permissible under federal housing law. Be it further resolved that upon passage, copies of this resolution be transmitted to the Honorable Mayor of Providence and the Executive Director of the Providence Housing Authority.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 44.
Item 44.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the readings of items 44 through 48.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, refer items 44 and 45 to the Committee of Public Works. Refer 46, 47, 48 to the Committee on Ordinances, please.
So noted.
Item number 49.
Item 49, petition for compensation for injuries and damages.
Madam Clerk, refer them to the Committee on Claims and Pending Suits.
So noted. Communications and reports, item 50.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor,
motion to waive the reading of item number 50.
Second.
second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, receive. Item 51.
Presentation of resolutions and congratulations. Item 51, Council President Igliozzi and members of the City Council, resolution extending congratulations.
Majority Leader Taylor?
Motion to pass on a voice vote.
Deputy Majority Leader
Second.
Harris. Second, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, item number 52.
Presentation of resolutions in memoriam. Item 52,
Mr.
Counsel-
President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to pass on a unanimous rising vote.
Second,
Deputy
Mr.
Majority Leader
President.
Harris seconds it. Everybody please rise. Moment of silence. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to suspend Rule 16B of the rules of the City Council in order to take a matter not appearing on the printed docket.
Second.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, do we have that item that's not appearing on the docket?
matter not appearing on the printed
1 second.
docket.
Please, Madam Clerk, has it been distributed to the full council?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, do we have copies for the public too? Make sure we have them too. Sergeant, do we have disbursement?
Thank you.
And make sure the public has it also. Madam Clerk, read the item, please.
Presentation of ordinance, item 53, Council President Igliozzi by request. An ordinance adopting the American Rescue Plan Act grant budget for the period of January 6, 2023 through December 31st, 2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to refer that item to the Committee of Finance in front of Chairwoman Ryan. Next.
Mr. President, if there's no
Majority
more,
Leader Taylor.
if there's no more further business, I'd like to adjourn the meeting in a few memories. In
Please.
memory of Vittoria Batista Florio. In memory of retired Police Communications Crew Chief Edmund P. Eddie Calcagni. In memory of retired Providence Fire Dispatcher Joseph Serpa. In memory of Nellie Allen, mother of former Majority Leader Ronald Allen. Ramona Reynoso. Cheryl Taylor. Mary Sormonti. Memory of Suzanne Turner Dooley, Councilwoman Helen Anthony's mother. Nanleo Maurice Albizu. In memory of Margaret Mancini, mother of CFO Larry Mancini. In memory of Amantina Espinal. In memory of Billy Williams. In memory of Amelia Morales. And also in memory of Mordell Oriana.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned, Madam Clerk. Thank you all for participating. Be well, be safe, and God bless.